Yeah, so basically, I over a couple years applied to different animation internships and jobs, and I didn't hear back from anyone. It was, many, many years before I did. And the only one that responded to me like months after I applied was Nickelodeon. It was because a recruiter there saw my portfolio. I had made like a Squarespace site a few months ago, and I just made it very simple, clean, like just like 5 or 10 images that I thought kind of worked in a series. They were a little bit Pixar-y, a little bit digital painting-y. I took a digital painting class at Stamps. I didn't learn a ton from the like coursework, but it was a small class, so a bunch of us like kind of got together and like taught each other and made our own final projects. At the time, I was co-founding the Michigan Animation Club with Rose Stacy and a few other admins and a few other like really cool people, and that was another great way of like teaching each other skills, like workshops and stuff. But yeah, I learned a ton from that digital painting class, and
Oh, really?
I tried to like tailor my portfolio project, like the class's final project. I tried to tailor it towards the portfolio piece I wanted. So like
I see.
just generally off the bat, like that's one bit of concrete advice I can give, which is like in those upper level classes, once you kind of realize the creative career you want to go down, the more you can like tailor an open-ended final project or prompt into a portfolio piece professionally, the better off you'll be. It'll just save you time rather than having to do that on top of your coursework. Like making your coursework your professional focus will be is always really helpful.
See.
So I did that. I got a random call from from like an internship recruiter at like 7 p.m. at night because in LA it's like 4 p.m. So it was just like out at dinner and I had some drinks that was just very it was very not prepared for an interview, but it was just on the spot. You kind of never know when
Wow.
you'll get that opportunity. So what I had done to like prepare was like make sure for a few months I was like kind of reading animation news, kind of keeping up to date with the industry. So in that interview, I was able to like mention a couple of things that I'd read about Nickelodeon recently, and that impressed the recruiter and showed that I just cared a lot. And later on, I ended up interviewing interns and potential interns, and you'd be surprised like how many don't like do that. So like if you can like research animation studios or companies and what's going on in the industry, that stuff always shows really well for yourself in interviews. But yeah, so the Nickelodeon internship was my like breaking in. I was just a production intern. I wasn't an artist. My storyboarding work was not like professional level at all. I didn't even know what that looked like at the time, but I learned a lot that summer. I learned a lot about um, the studio culture, what an animated TV show looks like, and how shows get made.
Mhm.
um, I learned what storyboard artists do, and I realized that that was like 100% my dream. And I made lots of friends. I made lots of friends with like other talented artists in the same way that you guys are in your student org. I met people that inspired me and made me want to be better and made me push myself. And that was always like the best type of environment to be in. So yeah, that summer was like kind of what like took off for me. And I came back, I finished my 5th year of college because I had a lot going on. And and I had the dual degree, so I had a lot to get done. But I was kind of dead set on breaking into animation again. And so I got a PA job out of college because that show I interned on the summer beforehand, it was called Harvey Beaks. It's a Nickelodeon show. As a production intern, I was just doing my production job, but they really liked me. I like focused on the day job. Even while I was taking tests and like practicing my art skills and stuff, I was focused on the day-to-day tasks. Um, and they liked me so that the following year, I was very lucky in that like a PA job opened up right as I was graduating. That like never happens. People break in at like their
Oh,
mid
wow.
20s, 30s, like all sorts of times. I got super lucky. But once you're in animation, any age you're in, like you're welcomed in. Like it's okay, whatever age you break in. But yeah, for me, I got really lucky and I took advantage of that PA job. I was just not doing anything creative, anything art related, but I was a production assistant getting paid like pretty low, but living in LA, making it work, just getting started. And I did that for a year and a half. Over that year and a half, I used kind of the friends I made in the studio and the mentors I had to take art tests. Art tests are something I can talk about tonight. They are basically the artist's way of getting interviewed for a creative job in animation. Um, Most artists don't like, sometimes you can get interviewed for like a personality fit, but the bigger thing is often an art test to like see if you can match the style of the show. Like you can draw in an amazing way and have like a really unique voice, but can you also take that voice and skill and match it with the show creator's vision, which can be hard to do. So I took a bunch of art tests, got rejected from a bunch of them again. But with each one, I was kind of learning a little bit more of the gap that I had. So I was starting to like break down what I needed to do to basically fill that gap and get to where I needed to be. I would get feedback on the art test. It crushed me. It was really hard. Lots of discouragement. Lots of like, I don't think I can do this. Um, Eventually, a year and a half later, I lucked out on one entry level art job as a storyboard revisionist on a show called Pinky Malinky. It was a show about a talking hot dog. It was a mockumentary cartoon. It was very silly. But there were some amazing artists on that show, and I was so lucky to jump on it. I learned a lot on the job. My test was solid, but I think I still didn't have quite the drawing chops to do it perfectly. But I just like drilled in, kept working and trying. It wasn't like working late hours or sleeping under my, like, don't do anything like that. Like I would work in the evening and practice at times, but like if anyone tells you you need to like sleep under your desk, like that's not, like those like hustle culture people, you don't need to do that. But I was working on my own in the evenings at times to get better and practice occasionally and improve. And yeah, so on that job, I learned a ton from my boss. Uh, and I worked that for 3 months. Then I got hired on a Netflix show because my supervisor was moving on to that. I worked that as a storyboard revisionist and eventually got promoted to boards. And I had to take an art test while on the show, which was like so much scrutiny. But eventually I got hired. That show ended and I got hired as a board artist on Big City Greens in 2018, which is where I'm still at today. And yeah, it's been great. I've been boarding on like 3 or 4 seasons of the show, like 3 seasons now, I think. Yeah. And I've like written an episode and directed an episode as well. And yeah, I'm just been kind of busy doing my thing on that for the past like 5 years. So that's where I'm at today. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That was so insightful. Thank you for sharing your lore.
No problem.
Yeah. I guess, did you have any questions?
I don't think so. I
Yeah.
just wanted to say,
Yeah.
like, I remember before I came to Stamps, seeing your work in the undergraduate view book, and that gave me hope that I could do animation at Stamps. So I don't know. I just wanted to thank you for coming and talking to us, just like from that perspective.
Oh, thanks.
Like
Yeah,
that
of
was
course.
in like 2017, so a while ago, but
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
that clearly.
that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
yeah. Speaking of
Thank you.
stamps, I had a lot of questions about that. I just wanted I wanted to kind of like just like I wanted to know a little bit more kind of like about your experience at Stamps and like going through U of M. And I was interested, what digital art class did you take?
Yeah, totally. It was I forget the name. It was just like an upper level digital painting course
Yeah.
offered by Phoebe Glockner at the time. And yeah, such a strong reaction from the this is yeah. So Phoebe has a great like vision and a lot of skills with indie comics and inking and stuff. But I think she wasn't as familiar with the world of like digital painting, and it just wasn't her like wheelhouse or anything at the time. And so I think like she provided some insights, but I think a lot of it was by that point, a lot of us were juniors and seniors in the class, some coming from the world of photography, painting. Um, and it was just a really small class and like full of like just very passionate, focused people. And I think we just ended up kind of driving a lot of our development together and growth. So it was a very simple digital painting class, but it
Yeah,
offered the like time and capacity to like help me practice and
that's
get better.
awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, were there any other classes that you like thought got a lot from, or like were you able to like push any of your other classes in any directions, or was it mostly just like doing stuff on the side?
Yeah, totally. So for commercial art, like one of the best things ever to do is just it doesn't even have to be in a class, but figure drawing. Figure drawing is amazing. Learning to draw volumetrically, learning to draw form, learning to understand anatomy. Even when you're drawing a cartoon with like noodle arms, you'll want to draw those noodle arms from any angle and have it be consistent volume. So like that sort of thing for boarding is great. Any filmmaking classes on like editing, cinematography, SAC, stuff like that. Great for boarding. I read a book called The Five C's of Cinematography that was really helpful, just about like the basics of like cutting, composition, things like that. Um, and then yeah, I loved I love Heidi Kamau. She's just like my favorite. She's my favorite professor. She's the goat. I think she's a blast. You
Yeah.
know, those classes didn't offer like the like foundational technical knowledge that a lot of like Cal Arts classes does, but I love like all the experimental films we watched in those classes. I just freaking loved. Like it got me into like the Dom Hertzfeldt like short films, like World of Tomorrow and all that stuff, which is an amazing animated short film. I think everyone should watch. And once you're like in like a commercial field, you know, you don't get that again. You don't get that kind of
Yeah.
chance to just like watch a bunch of really cool weird things, and the more that like informs commercial animation, the like cooler the project gets, and the more like special and different it feels. So I highly recommend classes like that like increase your vocabulary of like what animation can be. On beyond that, yeah, and any of the technical classes like just painting, you know, 101, things
Yeah.
like that. um yeah, so that's what I would say, from my memory.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll tell Heidi, you said hello because we're in her class. So,
Yeah,
uh,
please.
yeah. Let's
I
see.
think I taught a class of hers this I did like a guest lecture this year. Were you guys in it, or
Oh, I think,
It might have been her intro class or some
yeah.
other class.
Yeah.
oh
Yeah,
nice,
one of our buddies was there.
there we go, represent.
Yeah.
Hello again.
Yeah.
um yeah, okay, so how should we just kind of are we doing, are you kind of, you guys kind of moderating the Q&A, or opening
Yeah,
up to the
we have
class, or
yeah.
whatever you guys want to do? I'm happy to chat.
Yeah, we have some questions, and then like if anyone else has any questions when we do run out of questions, we can kind of go into that if you want.
Totally.
I know you did have some slides. I don't know if you wanted to present those at all, but
Yeah, I can do that real quick. They're only like 5 slides. They're very short because I
yeah,
really kind of just want to like open it up to you guys,
of
and have
course,
this
yeah.
be your time to ask whatever you want or are curious about. So I'll just like share them real quick. But yar. Okay. Um okay, can you see
Yes, the
this
top five
thing?
things that help me.
Yeah, basically just like
Yay!
top 5 things that like helped me in school. I think researching the portfolios of artists who work in the career field you want. Like, let's say you loved Adventure Time. Um, you know, those board artists who worked on that show and the writers, they have Instagrams, they have comics they published. You know, reading those, watching them, and starting to like reverse engineer what you like about them. Even from a technical standpoint, from a creative standpoint, just started to break down an episode into its components. Like, okay, I'm loving this, you know, Gravity Falls episode, but like, what do I love about it? Is it the how dynamic the action is. I mean, is it the character voices? And from a storyboarding perspective, like how do they board a story like action scene, and what makes it feel dynamic? Like the mid shots, the down shots, the way they cut, the editing. Starting to break down those things are uh it's awesome. So anyways, reverse engineer what makes those portfolios good, mapping how to take your work there. Three, quality over quantity in a portfolio. Recruiters can tell your skills from just like a few high quality drawings or paintings. So rather than putting like a bunch of like 30 or 40 different things or like a whole comic in your portfolio, taking like a few pages of your best panels, your best work, I think is a little bit stronger for portfolio. I'm trying to stay positive. You're just going to get a lot of no's, but you only need one yes to break in. I know you guys know, but it's a very difficult time in animation. A lot of people are out of work. I don't think it's going to be this way forever. And I think when that time comes and there's more hiring, they're going to want lots of young, really talented, like hungry people. And that can be where you guys come in. Because it's not just the Cal Arts or RISD kids that should break in. It's also U of M guys. I want you guys to work in animation. Yeah, and just being kind and respectful, like a nice person over a genius asshole any day of the week. Just animations are TV animations really tight, can be stressful, deadlines are intense. So just being kind is just another cherry on top of being really, really talented. So yeah. My job responsibilities: drawing characters, acting poses, organizing a shot flow, scene direction, writing jokes and effective dialogue. I'm on a hybrid board driven show. So even though we get a script, we're expected to write and punch things up.
Wow.
Punch up story beats and drawing backgrounds and crowds. So yeah, kind of the hierarchy. The foundational, most important stuff is like tone, theme, story, comedy, character structure, things like that. Like making sure those pieces are in place are the bigger things. From there, you can start to focus on the like minutia of a scene itself, the editing, the timing, the pacing, the movement, perspectives, backgrounds next. Like the more it goes from more like narrative, metaphysical to like just the technical, like how does this body move while walking down the street? And then like the funny face at the top. Yeah, so just being like nice, fast, and good. If you can be like two of the three of these things. If you're fast and really good, maybe you don't have to be as nice. If you're good but nice, that's a win. But like ideally, being all three is really good, especially for TV animation.
Which ones would you
yeah.
say you are?
What's that?
Which ones of those three would you say you are?
Not nice at all. Yeah, I try to be all three. It's something to aspire to. It's hard to be fast. The work can be hard, but yeah, you just try to aspire to be your best. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had in terms of slides.
Awesome. Yeah.
I can show you some boards later, or some like how I think of a board, or like later on if we don't. But I'd rather kind of like get into some Q&A and like answer more of your guys' questions, because there are so many of you here, and I want to like value your time and hear what you're interested in talking about. So
that sounds great. I think Althea had one question, so I know her.
Yeah, I have a burning question. No. So I believe that you took, I don't know if it was senior studio or IP studio, but I was kind of wondering like if you have any insight or advice like in regards to that, like what you took away from it, or like any advice you'd give to us, because I'm hoping to do it next year. And I would love to hear like a perspective from someone who went into like a similar field that I'm interested in.
yes, absolutely. I would love to, because I made a mistake with my BA capstone. That's what I did. That's what I did at the time. It was a BA capstone. It wasn't a full IP project. It's a smaller version that they were offering. It might have a different name now, but that's what I did, and it was great. I learned a lot. I decided to make a short animated film. But the problem I made was I went way too ambitious. It was like 5 or 6 minutes long, fully colored, animated. Like it just blew up because I didn't realize that the like tone and pace I was going for was just like gonna blow up the script I had way too much. Um, Additionally, it was just like kind of a complicated like concept. It was really cool. There's some things I'm like proud of with it for sure, but but I just like I really killed myself over it, and I didn't, and I wasn't able to make the like specific moments of it as strong as I wanted to because I was just so stretched thin with time, and I couldn't, didn't have time to fully manage the teams I'd hired. I like worked with some great people, like an amazing composer, but I just didn't understand budgeting and constraints basically at the time. So I would say if you're going to make an animated film or a graphic novel or a series of paintings, go slightly smaller, go even smaller than maybe you think you need, and make it like great. Small, but like really exceptional is so much better than something big and complex and ambitious. Like you guys can work on things like that in your careers, but keeping it small and focused and really honing those skills that you need for a much smaller scope will be fantastic. So highly recommend um, like quality over quantity for your BA capstone or IP projects. So that's the biggest thing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really good to know because
Yeah.
I don't know about Althea, but
Yeah.
I tend to aim really, really big
Yeah.
and then I suffer the consequences later. So
You get
No, it's great. It's great to aim big. It just you can aim big in the technical execution
I see.
for a
Yeah.
smaller scope too. And so keep that energy up. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. I guess I can start asking some of the questions that are on our little document. But I was
I love
interested.
the document, by the way. It's so nicely organized. You guys are running a good ship over there.
Thank you. It's been copy and pasted and just edited slightly many a time. So
Cool. Nice.
yeah, I guess one question I had was like kind of what you talked about, like a few of like kind of like the challenges of being a storyboard artist, but like what are some of like the challenges that you face, but then also some of like the really enjoyable parts of being a storyboard artist?
Yeah, challenges than the enjoyable parts. Okay. Totally. So yeah, storyboarding is considered one of the hardest jobs on an animated show. Because you basically need, I would say it varies based on the show you're on, but I'd say you probably need about like 10 to 15 different skills to combine, all things considered. It depends on the show, maybe more like 5 to 10. I don't know the quite number, but like you're given a script and you have to draw the storyboards that will then be stitched into an animatic that will be the prototype of the episode. There's a lot riding on your step of the process. You have to be an editor, you have to be a timer, you have to be a you have to be a an actor, a writer. Often sometimes you don't have to write, but even executing on writing and dialogue is a form of writing and storytelling, I think. And you just have to have so many skills, and you have to be good at a lot of things to do storyboard and storyboard well. And it can be hard because if even one of those things isn't perfect, it can be tough. Additionally, you're getting notes a lot. So any feedback sessions that have like made you roll your eyes in art school, like that's kind of your job multiple days over the course of an episode that you get. You're going to get notes on notes. You have to redo things, rework things, and it can be grueling sometimes. And then additionally, like being a professional artist is putting a lot of your love of drawing into a commercial endeavor for a company, which is not always what you want to draw at the start of the day. You're not always going to be in the mood to. It's not always going to be exciting, and it's going to take away some of that energy that you'll want to put into your personal comics and work. Like I've made some personal art that I've really enjoyed and things that I love, and I haven't been able to do as much lately because I've been really busy with work, and I don't necessarily want to draw at the end of the day anymore. So it's something to really think about as people who have maybe more capacity for that right now. I know you guys are in art school, but yeah, I just remember like that passion will come and go. you know, at different times, different cycles. And it's important to do things that are not art. It's important to research. It's important to like experience the world, experience life, because that'll inform your art a lot. But yeah, I love storyboarding. I love it. I love making people laugh. I've always loved making people laugh. And sometimes they don't laugh, and that's okay too. Like sometimes the bit doesn't land, guys. But I've just always loved it. It's storyboarding, you are like, there's a reason it like is one of the funnels into like creating your own animated show or getting to direct a movie someday. It's story. It's like the things you've loved about movies and the characters um that like make you laugh and cry. It's just the best. It's the best. Um yeah, I love seeing other board artists. I love animation people, animation artists and coworkers I've met are just like people I've been fans of, and I'm like I can be friends with them. It's like crazy.
Oh,
I'm so lucky. It's yeah, storyboarding is when it's at its best, it's a fucking dream. I love it. So yeah, wow.
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for answering that.
Sorry. No problem.
I'm gonna ask any of them.
Let's see.
Um,
Let me see. I know this question is kind of like so predictable, but like what software? No, but like, what software, and also in the context of like, what software do you recommend like learning? Because I feel like sometimes different people say different things, and I've personally been trying to learn software just to like, have that in my toolbox. But yeah.
yeah, great question. No, that's an awesome question. So professionally, pretty much every board artist in the whole industry uses Toon Boom Storyboard Pro for storyboarding. A lot of shows are animated in Toon Boom Harmony, which kind of has that like puppety but sometimes hand drawn style. But for storyboard artists, it's Storyboard Pro. I started practicing that in college on the work computers. I think you can get it for like $9 or $10 a month.
Oh, wow.
You can get a student discount. Normally it's $50 a month, but if you're a student, you can get $10 a month. If you hold on to that student email for a while, you can still use it for that, which is nice. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much the like basic software. If you can start to use like in setting up keyboard shortcuts in Storyboard Pro is going to make you so much faster if you can like duplicate a panel with like one button instead of all the, if just taking every drop down thing that you do in Photoshop or Toon Boom Pro and finding a way to make it an easy shortcut for yourself, it's just going to make you so much faster. So as you start to learn that software, find the shortcuts for yourself, find the ways that you take the busy technical work out of it and can focus more on creating. That sort of thing is really helpful. But yeah, Toon Boom Storyboard Pro also, I mean, I know it's pretty standard, but learning Adobe Photoshop is great. A lot of feature film board artists get kind of fancy with the lighting layers. They can do like glowy effects, sometimes a hard light overlay layer, things like that. You can learn like painting and stuff too, that can help your boards feel a little bit more cinematic. Learning to board in black and white with like different tones, can help you sell atmosphere in your boards too. So like learning just painting and the basics of like value, light, and shadow can really inform your boards and help them stand out. Because even in TV boarding, there's different types of cinematic effects you can have and stuff. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's super helpful. I guess this is also more of just like a random question, but speaking of that, what kind of like drawing tablets or like devices do you use and stuff like that?
Yeah, totally. So in college, at the start of college, I used a bamboo tablet, just a tiny little Wacom thing. Just kind of struggled on it a little bit. That was tough. Um, but I got it about as good as I could get with it. And then I got an Intuos. It was like 250, $300. Helped a lot more to have the bigger drawing surface area. And then I used the Duderstadt Cintiqs quite a bit. And then
Those.
yeah, yeah, shut up.
We're hearing the dude right now.
Oh, let's
Represent!
go. Let's go. Design Lab 1. I spent so much time there. Oh my God. Jesus.
Yeah.
But oh, good old dude. They had that little cafe and that's
Yeah,
great.
Mojo. Yes. I was literally,
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
there today.
A lot of like weird late nights there. Yeah.
Uh,
So yeah, so basically, yeah, use that Cintiq. The Cintiq is the best. But you can still get good even with other types of things. Now I use a Cintiq um, and an iPad with Procreate. Procreate is amazing if you have an
yeah.
iPad. It's the best. The brushes are incredible. You can like, make multiple pages so you can do like comics and stuff. It's so cool. I barely scratched the surface of Procreate, but it's freaking awesome. So yeah, the iPad and Cintiq are the two things I use these days.
Nice. That's great. Good to know. Did you want to ask another question? Or I was just kind of trying to go back and forth, but
Anna, you take.
okay. Do you want me to take the floor? I got you. Hold on. I was formulating a question in my head and then I fully forgot what I was gonna say. I guess one question I had was like, what kind of is like the day-to-day like day-to-day like workflow like for you, and like kind of what does your day look like?
What does my day look like, dude? So my day it varies quite a bit. I have a board schedule that varies, like a lot of board artists. Your day to day varies quite a bit based on where you are in the pipeline. So, some days I'll be, excuse me, using some days, some weeks you'll be in thumbnail week. So you're just focused on bigger pictures, stick figures, scribbly drawings. You're focused on like the pyramid I showed you, like character storytelling, staging. Your bosses can know what you're going for. They've seen so many boards, they know what you're going for with a horizon line, a grid, and a couple blobs of stick figures with some acting. Like very rough, scribbly stuff. Kind of like how you start off with a sketch. You start off a board with the sketch too. You're thinking big picture first. So those weeks, I'm thinking big picture. As I get notes, start to refine things. By the last few weeks, I'm doing storyboard cleanup. Cleanup is where you like put the drawings on model. These days in TV animation, before we send it to our overseas vendor to animate, we're pretty tight with our designs. So, you have to really get the foot placement, eye direction, things like that kind of nailed down. So it's a lot more technical work. That's when you like put on a podcast, audio book, something like that, and just kind of veg out and just draw. You don't have to like use your thinking brain as much. You still do
Yeah.
some acting and stuff, but like yeah, you can kind of tune out a little bit and not worry too much. But yeah, there's been a lot of that. So yeah, so there's a mix of that. There's some writing because I'm working on some like other projects and personal work. So yeah, it kind of varies. You have to like bounce around a lot. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't usually start fully working until like a little bit late morning. I'm kind of more of like as an artist, you kind of find your working time. So I'm more of a late morning, afternoon, bleeding sometimes to evening person. But that's just because COVID ruined my working. Like we all have bad hours post COVID with working schedules. So
Yeah,
yeah,
makes sense.
that's what my day to day looks like.
Yeah. Do you are you you're probably like remote during like the pandemic, but like afterwards have you like gone back to the studio, or are you still like remote? Or is it
Yeah. I mean, we can be remote at times. We're encouraged to go on certain days, like a lot of companies. But yeah, I'm in office a lot. I love I love the studio. I love people being around them and stuff. So it's yeah, in the
nice.
studio.
Awesome. Again, I forgot what I was gonna say. I guess like yeah, so this is just like an in-between question, but how long typically is it from like the start of like when you first like receive like the script or what have you, and then like to the end when you have like the finalized storyboards? Like how long does that usually take?
Yeah, it's, for a lot of TV shows, including mine, it's anywhere between like 5 and 6 weeks schedule usually for board, sometimes four if it's an earlier show and the budget's smaller. But yeah, roughly around that length of time. And
Yeah.
that's the length of time that we go from the kind of script handout, beginning of a scripted idea to a finished clean board. That then we'll have more revisions and stuff done to it. But yeah,
See, that makes sense. Thank you.
yeah.
I guess, yeah, like out of all of like the work you've done, or you can choose a few favorites, but do you have like any favorite, whether it be like episodes you've worked on or specific projects you've worked on? Do you have any of those?
Yeah, totally. I mean, Pinky Malinky was great. I loved Harvey Beaks. Harvey Beaks is a great, just cute show. It got overlooked. A lot of studios just kind of want an instant hit, so it didn't get the kind of support to kind of grow, I think, that audience it needed. But Harvey Beaks is a wonderful show from the creator of Chowder, and it's just silly and fun. I wasn't an artist on that show, but I loved being a part of it. But also, yeah, I boarded a couple episodes of Jellystone. That's on HBO Max now. That Hanna-Barbera show. That's really fun because Big City Greens has like some really helpful like comedy rules, and then Jellystone had a different set, which was just sometimes it's refreshing to mix up what what kind of parameters you operate in with like what goes, like what kind of jokes are allowed and stuff.
Yeah.
And then yeah, there's some great just awesome Big City Greens episodes, like Dirt Jar, some from season 3 that are emotional and fun and silly, and it's fun when Big City Greens is has every once in a while have an episode that just like changes its tone and is really fun to work on and mix it up. So yeah.
Nice, yeah. Thank you. I think one question just got added in. Also, if anyone added them in throughout the doc and I skipped them, sorry, you can put them at the bottom just so I see them. But do you have, you kind of like just answered this, but do you have a favorite like recent animated show that you've
Yeah,
either
totally.
or seen or worked on?
Yeah, totally. I loved Scavenger's Reign on HBO Max. That show rips. It's very cool. That's more my wheelhouse, honestly. Like if I can make more of my own I love sci-fi, horror, dark fantasy stuff, and just adult animation in general.
Yes.
Yeah, Scavenger's Reign rips. It's so sick. The short it's based on is awesome. When I started the show, I thought it was like going to be beautiful, but I had no idea. I was surprised at how compelling and shocking and engaging it was. It was like we need more adult animation like that, I think, for sure.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so recently there's that. Yeah, adult animation's kind of they're kind of doing some really cool things with it right now. I think kids animation, they're trying to figure out what kids are responding to. I think they're it's a hard nut to crack sometimes, but I think that yeah, adult animation is a really cool space right now. Yeah, Scavenger's Reign is awesome. What else? I know I'm missing stuff. Dungeon Meshi, love Delicious in Dungeon. Great. It's a great show. It makes me hungry. Yeah, stuff like that. So yeah, those are a couple that I'm loving right now.
Oh my gosh, that's super exciting. Thank you. Let's see. I'm looking at our doc. I think we've pretty much gone through all of the questions that we had. I guess like oh, this is a good one. In terms of like when you're first like thinking up ideas for how you want to like illustrate like your boards and stuff, and like kind of like how do you like gather ideas or develop your ideas from like the thoughts in your brain like onto the paper? Like do you try like a lot of different things, or is it usually like just one and done?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that gets easier as you get more experience with it, you go from having to like do a bunch of drafts of something on paper to doing a bunch of drafts of something in your head and knowing if it works. You can
Mhm.
kind of like take that iterative process, and just kind of, yeah, shorthand it basically in your head as you
Yeah.
are like, okay, I know how I would draw this. I know that's not going to quite work, so I can toss that out. Often I do that with joke writing. I throw out like a lot of jokes and ideas and stuff. But what's really helpful for TV animation is you get are the constraints. You know, you're getting a script, you're getting a story that already has a point of view and perspective, and showrunners or bosses who have things they want from it, and that is you know, that's really helpful. Constraints are helpful. Constraints are really helpful, because otherwise you're just, you know, staring at a blank wall or a blank page, and that can be mind numbing. But yeah, which I still deal with for sure too. But yeah, giving yourself creative constraints whenever you can will help you be more creative, which is really nice.
Mhm.
um, but yeah, in terms of sketching, iterating, Storyboard Pro, it has its like screen panel, it's like camera panel.
Mhm.
Um, but then there's a whole canvas around it that, like, when you mask the screen, it'll hide all the drawings and sketches around it. So the way I like to draw is right in the storyboard panel, in those like margins around it. I'm a doodler. I always love doodling. So
Yes. Mhm.
uh, so I yeah, I'll get like a handout idea or something, and someone will be like, this is like the mayor, or this is like a side character we haven't designed yet. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's fun. Sometimes as a board artist, you get a chance to take a stab at it, and it's really fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there's some cool like viz dev you can do, if you have the chance, because sometimes they're down artists and they need a concept quick. So
Mm.
yeah, that's what I would say.
That's awesome. Super cool. I think that's pretty much everything we have on here. I wanted to open it up to our audience, our fellow digipainters. If anyone had any specific questions, if not, I can keep rambling, but I don't know. Any
Yeah,
questions?
totally. Yeah, excited to chat. Any questions you guys have, let me know.
Oh, we have one question. Wait, I'll run over there. Hold on.
Your name and the question, if you'd like.
Hi, my name is Kiara, and I wanted to ask you this since I've been thinking of it. Do you feel like that stance gave you the tools to see, like, for you to succeed in your current career, or, like, earn as a stance?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, totally. It's a hard one to answer. There are pros and cons to being at stamps. Like we know the cons for if you're trying to break into commercial animation, digital painting. I know it doesn't have everything that we need. You know, there are schools like RISD, like CalArts, those private universities, things like that, that have lots of, you know, technical commercial classes. They have a bigger alumni base. They've got all these connections, things you can do. Um, and U of M stamps doesn't have all that. It's more fine art academia based. It always has been. Um, so not it didn't give me everything. It didn't give me nearly everything or everything I needed. But the things it did while you're here, since you are here, you can take advantage of the things that CalArts and RISD cannot give you,
Cool.
which is the fact that you're in a university. You know, CalArts and RISD, they are training you for like a specific job, and that's mainly all they're going to teach you. At U of M, you have minors, you have dual majors, you have other classes, side classes you can take. The stamps program encourages you to take, like when I was there, to take like a couple LSNA classes, things like that. Like you can be more well-rounded ultimately and fully. You know, you can learn some of those technical skills more on your own and develop that like ability to like learn how to learn. But um but that university is an asset to you if you want to use it, if you want to combine it with a little biology class, an interest in environment. You know, speaking of, I like the scientific illustration class I took. Now that I forgot about that, but I remembered I took that as well with Trumpy, if he's still there. And that was really cool. So it didn't give me everything, but it gave me enough, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, taking advantage of what you can while you're there is really helpful. Taking advantage of your relationships with your classmates to like learn things from them, of the school resources, any software that you can use. And yeah, the other thing that art school can teach you, that all the like feedback sessions and all of the critiques and the classes are, the bigger thing you can learn is to like learn how to learn. That's like the biggest thing that you will always do in your career. Like when you get hired by a job, you're gonna have to learn stuff there too. The job wants to know if you can, if not if you're perfect, but if you can develop too into like what you need to be. So like developing that ability at Stamps to like learn and teach yourself and build your skills on your own as well, is a lifelong skill that you're always going to keep learning in your career. So that's like the probably the best thing art school gave me, was like the ability to like learn how to learn, I would say. So yeah, great question, Kara.
Oh my God, oh my God.
Hi, I'm Georgie. My question is, in the future, do you ever think about taking on an independent project?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I would love to. I mean, I um a dream of mine at some point in the future is to publish a graphic novel someday. I have some ideas, some like pitch concepts and stuff, and just not a lot of free time. Like I mostly like to spend my free time like just goofing around and not doing art anymore. But I have ideas for like I have ideas um for some graphic novel pitches and concepts that would be exciting for me. So like yeah, graphic novel would be amazing. It has a lot more like freedom than being in just a studio. That would be really cool. What else? Yeah, what besides that? Yeah, like short film would be cool someday. I know like there are teams that can get together and do that, but yeah, that would be a dream of mine for sure. So yeah, great question. Thank you, Jordan.
Hi, I'm Mari, and also it's really cool to meet you because we have some math people here from animation clubs.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, it's so cool. It's still going strong. That's like weird, like so trippy to hear.
I heard that like it almost died, like
Oh my God.
over COVID, but then we saved it got saved, so it's going strong.
Yay.
So, like,
Still see the emails, so it's apparently still going strong.
but my question is, I don't know if you've worked in feature or if you know anyone who's worked in feature, but what do you think are like the pros and cons of working in TV versus feature?
Great question. Yeah, totally. So I do know a lot of people in feature, and it's a very different job. From what everything I've heard, I haven't done it in my career yet, but yeah, I know the difference is in feature. In TV, you're going to be working on multiple stories, getting it out the door, new ones coming in every several weeks or so. You make something, don't have a ton of time, put it out, you're done. In feature, you can be working on the same like 4 minute sequence of a movie for like a year and a half.
Gosh.
So yeah, like that, and I've heard multiple people do that. They like will be sitting in the theater being like waiting for their like 30-second or 60-second moment to come, and maybe it's cut. It's crazy. Like you're such a smaller part of a massive creative enterprise, and you are like working and reworking a scene. The culture is different. It's intense, but in a different way. but yeah, I know it also can like lead to like, you know, that time and quality goes a long way. It can be like feature films are beautiful, but yeah, that it would be weird going from TV to feature because yeah, you're just not, you're kind of looking at the same thing for a long time, and it's I don't know. I kind of like the variety of new challenges each time with TV. So that's the main difference with feature, and then also just like a different way of boarding too. You're not like making a production board for like overseas studios to like follow and do. You were doing much rougher, much more gestural, cinematic kind of lighting based things. Um, and it's much more about like mood and tone and things like that. So yeah, different skill sets slightly, but yeah, those are the main differences I've heard. So yeah, great question.
Awesome, thank you. Did we have any other questions? I think I did see one before.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to ask,
Yeah.
fire away.
Let's see. Oh, we have a few questions. Sure. Maybe you can pick up first. All right. For sure. Yeah, go maybe.
My name is Ben. So you were talking about sort of watching animated features or just films in general and sort of learning by example. What would you say are some films that you definitely like that are at the top of your list for like that's a film that really does it well? One Piece for Your Planet, for instance. But yeah, what's a movie that kind of does that for you?
Yeah, like those really inspiring kind of films
Yeah,
for me.
movie points.
Yeah, totally. So my answers are pretty like boring and standard. Like I loved Princess Mononoke and like the Ghibli films. Like that's whoa, shocker, you know. I know it's not the most exciting answer, but it's there for a reason. Those that Princess Mononoke blew my mind when I was a kid. And yeah, you know, those films that just like do everything so well, you know, they're just at the top of their game. Spider-Verse did that for me a few years ago too, like watching that in theaters with my friends. I don't know, those movies that make you feel like a little kid again, that make you feel like anything's possible, you know, like the world can be heavy, but like a film that leaves you walking out that's just like wow, like they can make cool stuff, you know. There are TV shows and feature films that do that. So yeah, any of those are right up my alley. Yeah, Spider-Verse most recently. Yeah, Scavenger's Reign as well. Video games a lot too. Video games have made me like really inspired lately too. That's like such a golden age of video games right now. But yeah, I would say most recently Spider-Verse. Um, yeah, what other feature films? I've seen I don't know. Yeah, there've been like the feature films lately have been very solid, but nothing since like Spider-Verse has like blown me away like that. But yeah, I thought Boy and the Heron was like visually very stunning. It was cool seeing like a Miyazaki movie in theaters. That was really cool. So yeah, I would say probably Princess Mononoke. I'll just rewatch that. So hi.
Hi, I'm Kate. I've messaged you on Instagram before. I don't know if you remember. Anyway. How do I word this? When you, I guess, first get into a company for animating, I don't know, how lenient would you say they are about like teaching you a new program? Because obviously not everybody is, has the access to Toon Boom Studio. So like, is there like a training process? Is there a learning curve? Like, how does that process work when you first get into a company like that?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. So it varies quite a bit, but I think, you know, you can be a great board artist without knowing Toon Boom story, like without knowing Storyboard Pro. Um, but you just like really have to know what you're doing then, you know, and even then, I think they'll expect you to kind of like learn the software pretty quick, you know, like while you can learn on the job, and I have, you know, they're a company that's on a very tight schedule that is like trying to make money, and they're hiring you expecting you to do the job. So in those creative jobs, pretty quick amount of time to like pick things up and learn, you know, as a board artist getting started on Big City Greens, I I had to learn quick. You know, you have to learn quick because the pitch is coming soon. The episode needs to ship, and things need to happen. So the time to learn is tight. When I was an intern at Nickelodeon, I was in production, so I was not doing anything art related. But Nickelodeon at the time was very amazing. It was awesome. It was really focused on training young interns. Even if you're in production, you can take, they like scheduled character design classes. They scheduled like storyboarding classes. You can meet with like mentors, you can meet with like artists. So they were very much trying to like feed you into the creative pipeline. So it varies studio by studio. Um, but yeah, if you're hired for a creative job, you're expected to know the software pretty quick. And yeah, free trials are helpful. Borrowing software, you know, things like that is helpful. But yeah, you're kind of expected to know the software pretty quickly on the job. But yeah, so great question.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions? No, that's okay. I kind of had one. I'm trying to like formulate in my head. I don't know if it's like too vague, but have you seen any like, are there any like shifts that you've seen like in the animation industry, like kind of throughout your time, whether that be like general vibes or like the mindset of people or like stuff like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, things have been tough. Things have been tough in animation for a while. Yeah, like I said, like a lot of my friends who are amazing artists have been out of work for a bit now. It's a tough time to even get rehired, let alone break in right now. I entered at a very fortunate time when all these studios were trying to copy Netflix. Netflix was the big, you know, the big disruption that has happened in the, you know, aughts years that we're in now. In the past 10 years, and all the companies wanted to copy it and thought it was the future. So they, you know, were greenlighting everything they could and just trying to make content, like as much, you know, content as they can. So hiring was crazy. Netflix had like a little animation studio where just all these creators were making stuff and shows and just pouring money into it. So extreme. And then yeah, we are currently in a reactionary time to that, where Warner Bros. Discovery had a merger. They canceled a bunch of projects, including my movie in development at Cartoon Network there, which really hurt. But you know, yeah, they cut a lot of stuff and pulled back on a lot of stuff, and that's what the studios are doing right now. They're trying to save money. They're trying to prove profitable. They're just bowing to Wall Street, and it's a tough time. CEOs are cutting a lot of jobs and not their pay, and people are hurting. But it's not going to be this way forever. You know, the one thing that is consistent is the demand for great storytelling. You know, like Disney had a whole empire based on, you know, 5 or 10 great animated films. Pixar, you know, like think of those movies that have like made companies so profitable and like changed the world, you know, like those kinds of stories, those kinds of shows are still there. And the demand for them will always be there. But yeah, we're in a weird time right now, but it's not going to be forever. So
Yeah. Thank you. That is oddly comforting to know, a little scary, but also comforting to know that it's not just me.
totally. No, it's a great question. It's a great question.
Yeah, I guess like kind of like a follow-up, but also just like in general, like when you're feeling like kind of like burnt out or like demotivated, kind of like what do you do to combat that, I guess?
That's a great question. That's a great question. And oh my God, so relevant to U of M students. You fucking hard, dude. I miss it, and then I'm like, wait, I was miserable. Wait a second, why am I missing college? About it, and things that always are difficult, but um taking breaks,
Mhm.
to yourself, getting enough sleep, don't not just pulling all-nighters, but getting enough rest, taking care of your mental, like you can grind and work hard and grow and push yourself and still take care of yourself. Like, again, you're going to get advice from some industry person someday that tells you need to like work till midnight and sleep under your desk to break an animation. Bullshit. Like, take this whole time we were in has taught us that we need to like take care of our health first and foremost, and taking breaks will make you a better artist. Putting projects away that are frustrating and coming back to them later.
Mhm.
Tons of breaks. I have writer's block all the time. I have writer's block now with the project I'm on. I'm taking a break. It's hard though. I still have self-doubt about it and about myself, and just being kind to yourself, trusting yourself. It's just a pressure cooker being at U of M and being in college in general. So um, you can be a great artist and grow and be kind to yourself too. And it's not an easy thing to learn. I'm still learning it. It's hard to be like motivated and push yourself and be restful. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other like, yeah, nature. I mean, the standard, like, it's typical, but nature walks, getting outside, timers to like, timers from work, setting an hour timer and stuff. Like hand stretching exercises are nice. Just early are really good. Um, oh, the Arb. Oh my God, I love the Arb. That's my favorite place in the world. Back in the day at U of M. Uh, Not just to get high in either. It was just a great place. Just a great.
That's real. That's real.
I'm just joking. But
Oh,
but it's just like that's like go there, walk around, experience nature, enjoy yourself, enjoy this time too. Like, do both. Become a great artist and enjoy your life. Do both at once. You can do both. So and believe in yourself. You can fucking do it,
Yay!
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Thank
So
you.
that's yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. We do have another question.
Yeah, totally. I like
Yeah, thank you so much for being so responsive on your emails, like, it's been really nice. Yeah, in terms of my actual question, I was kind of curious about like mentors, because I know that's like a common thing that people talk about, and I was kind of curious if you had a mentor during university. Because I'm mostly interested in animation specifically, but I've always heard like, oh, like find a mentor, but did you have one when you were in college, or did you have one like when you went to Nickelodeon, or like so on and so forth?
Yeah, I did not. I did not have a mentor in college, and I didn't have a mentor. I had people give me feedback, and then I had bosses that I worked for that liked me, and I had people in the studio that I took a class from, and they gave me feedback like once. It wasn't like an ongoing mentorship ever. And then when I was in college, uh, yeah, I didn't really. I not cold called, but I reached out to like a few industry people who weren't even artists, and they gave me the time once in a while, which was so gracious of them to offer any time to me as a U of M student. But they weren't artists, they weren't professionals. I didn't have any like professional mentorship in college at all. My only mentorship was online tutorials, portfolios, film making of videos, um, and just kind of copying work and copying not the work itself, but like the way they would do something, the technical skills they used, and making it my own a little bit. And so yeah, no, I didn't have an official mentor. I still don't. There are some mentorship programs, but they're kind of harder to get. when you're in college or even starting out. But once you're in a studio, sometimes they offer those. Apply to as many as you can, but yeah, they're not always easiest to get. But yeah, so great question. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Anyone have any more questions?
yeah. Any last ones, guys? I'm happy to.
Do you have any questions?
So,
Okay.
I feel like,
Oh.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah, wait, what were you gonna say?
I could ask a question. I mean, I feel like I would get the same answer I asked, Kenna at the other event. I guess
I'll get you after.
when it comes to like being consistent with like your boards, I guess, or like animation, like what like tips do you have for that? Is it just like practicing, or like, you know, is there any like, I don't know, resources you maybe have utilized to get that? Because I feel like for me, that's like one of my biggest struggles right now is like to be consistent. But yeah.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think the best thing with that is just practice, practice, consistency. There are things you can do. Like I've heard there are a couple of friends of mine who are on like action, like Avatar-esque shows, and they told me the way they got good at that sort of thing is they learned to draw the human body from every angle, which is like it's so insane. But yeah, like that's like just draw so many fucking drawings and draw them from all sorts of angles. The what is it? The Animator Survival Kit. I know that's a classic that they recommend, but studying that is really helpful. They break down in betweens, draw heads, things like whatever those things are called, so well. But I think the best thing is just time and practice and things like that. The other lesson I can recommend to really the practical tool to like learn storyboarding and cinematography better is doing film studies. So take a film you like, yeah. So yeah, you get it. Take a film you like, and shot by shot, pause it at each shot in the movie, and when things move, the major movements they make, storyboard it. Take little thumbnails and draw just the main shapes and the way they move. That will help develop some consistency with shooting. In terms of consistency with drawing, I think it's just time and practice, developing that ability to draw things from lots of angles and lots of poses. It's just time. It's just time and
Yeah.
reps. You'll get there. It's just time.
Yeah,
So
thank you. We'll draw human body from every angle.
Yes. Next thing you can actually be drawing
Yes.
bodies from every single angle.
Actually, though.
should.
Hi, I'm Ria, and I was just wondering, what's your take on like the importance, if any, of like posting your work online, or like the power of social media, like within your career? And also the state of it right now, like everything's kind of on fire and, the whole thing. So
Yeah. The question being kind of like how effective and how helpful is it to have a social media, like a big social media following, what that gets you in real life practically. I will say it's really helpful, but I did not have that. I kind of have one now, but I did not at all when I was starting out. And I didn't for years, even when I was like working my way up the creative ladder. Like not everyone has it or needs it. It's really helpful in general. I do know a lot of friends who've gotten hired from it or have gotten jobs from it, having like 20 or 30,000 followers. And it's gotten them a lot. But yeah, that's one track you can make. The other track is getting an entry level job at a studio and working your way up and learning while you're in the building. And so it's a really helpful way. It's not the only way. I think, but I do think honestly, like whatever you can do to make like it's really hard to break in. Whatever you can do to sell yourself in what sell your skills and your abilities, the more pieces of evidence you have, the better, basically. But it's not essential, but it's helpful. I think things that have helped certain people with social media presences are consistency, kind of not consistent drawings, but consistent ideas, sometimes a clever take, they can have like, I'll take a thing from Pokemon and draw the adventures of this specific guy and what they could be up to, taking fan art and recontextualizing it, taking a show you love and like, here's One Piece characters in streetwear, cyberpunk streetwear, something like that. Reimaginings do really well like that. Fan art stuff like that does really well. I also really recommend like drawing what you love. There are some action board artists who like they were such a fan of Hades that they would just like they just wanted to draw like Hades and Zagreus, I think is his name, and they loved it so much that they just wanted to draw him all the time, so they drew him more. So drawing what you love means you'll draw more of it, and you'll have fun doing it. It won't be as exhausting. So like drawing what you love and using that for like practice, technical practice, portfolio pieces, social media posts, stuff like that. Sometimes you see social media presence where like, man, they really love drawing. You can tell they like love drawing that character, and leaning into that is really helpful. So yeah, strong voice is always helpful with the social media presence.
Awesome, thank you. I have a follow-up question to that. Do you have like a favorite thing to draw, whether that be like something like just for fun for you, or like do you have like a favorite like fan piece of media to draw?
Yeah, totally. Well, on Twitter, I've gotten known for drawing like Snorlax comics. So like I really like Snorlax. He's like a big sleepy guy, and he just likes to eat a lot and hang out. And I've always loved drawing him because he's so round. So I drew like one comic of him going on an adventure, and it blew up, and so that like it's fun to draw him. I also like drawing fantasy comics with like magical realism elements, and I have more of those on my Instagram, or just like slice of life comics kind of do well. Yeah, so a mix of stuff. I don't have like one thing I love to draw, which I think does inhibit like me from like building more of a following, but like it's it's I like a few different things. So I would say I kind of bounce around between those. But in terms of like fan art and stuff, probably Snorlax more than anything.
Nice.
So yeah.
Yes, very good, very good. Awesome. Does anyone else have any last questions? Let's see what time it is. It's like 9:19.
Yeah, I know it's getting late, guys. I don't want to keep you too late.
Yeah. We don't want to take up too much of your time, but oh, they're waving at each other. Okay. I was asked this, but do you have any questions for us?
Yeah, I guess I'm just, is it like, is your club, is it like all types of digital painting? Like, what do you guys like to get up to? Digipaint.
Oh yeah, so I can give the spiel. We are a digital art club dedicated to nurturing and inspiring students from all I don't know the rest of it, but like basically we just kind of we do a lot of different things. We have like casual fun meetings where we just come hang out, draw. Will have like silly prompts, like we did like silly Valentines and I don't know what it's called. Hatsune Miku. We drew different Hatsune Mikus. And we also have like workshops and stuff. So like we Althea and Mari, one of the other admin, did like an environment workshop a few weeks ago. And then also we do speaker events like this. So we've tried to accommodate both like people who are like more just like casual, like want to have fun and just draw for fun. And then also people who are looking to go into the industry, kind of to fill some of those gaps that Stamps has. But also like we accept people from all majors. So it's kind of like just a community of artists. Yeah.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Awesome, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. This was great. Great
Oh my
talk.
gosh, yeah. Thank you so much for coming. This was so much fun. It was so nice to meet you. I guess one last question. I had excuse me. Do you have don't worry about it. Do you have any like projects or any things like that you're looking forward to and working on in the future? Or is there anything that like you want people to keep an eye out for, to look forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I'm I'm like developing my own show with Disney, and I have been for a few years. So that's been, if it ever gets made, like that would be, watch that please on Disney Plus.
We got you.
It probably won't go, but that's been really fun. In terms of that, no, just keep watching shows, keep watching movies, and live your life. I don't know. Enjoy. Keep making cool stuff. Keep doing art. Keep doing art. Fuck AI, right? Keep doing art.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I guess, if anyone here has any further questions, can they reach out to you? And if so, how would you prefer to be reached out to?
Yeah, totally. So yeah, if you guys want, if you ever want, to like ask any follow-up questions, it'll probably be difficult for me to respond immediately. It might take a while, but I'm happy to like answer any follow-up questions. You can, I'll throw my like personal email in the chat. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you want like a feedback on a little portfolio piece or something. Again, I'm pretty slammed these days, but I would love to like offer some advice when I can. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Also, thank you for doing this, even though you're so like busy with work. We really appreciate it.
No problem. I love talking to U of M students and like clubs, so it's great. You guys are good energy here. It was a delight.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day and good luck with all your things. And thank you. I think there was something else I was gonna say, but I forgot. So
That's okay. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.
Bye.